All right, welcome to another crappie moment. We are fishing. It's a beautiful day today. A little more windy than what the weatherman said, but we know better not to trust the weatherman anyway. He said it's going to be 5-mile-an-hour winds. It's more like 15, maybe a little more than that. So a little windy today, but we're out here. We're going to see what we can do. Got air temperatures today like mid 80s. Kind of cooling a little bit overnight for the last couple of days, and actually coming up for the next week or so, temperatures are going to be a little milder than what they've been. So we'll be getting into that fall transition sometime in the near future. Today we are going to be talking about crappie baits, and we're going to be explaining crappie baits and different types, how to fish them, what time of year to fish them. So we're gonna have a great video today. Might get some fishing clips in today as well, see what we can do with that. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do so. I really appreciate the support, those of you that have already subscribed and been tuning in. Hit that like button for me today if you're enjoying the content. Leave me a comment. Those things really help the channel out a whole lot, so I super appreciate it. All right, let's get out here, let's get to it. All right, so let's talk about crappie baits. We're probably going to start with one of the most commonly used crappie baits that there is, and that is the Bobby Garland jig. This is your Bobby Garland baby shad jig. It's a 2-inch, and this right here is monkey milk. Monkey milk is probably one of the most popular colors for the Bobby Garland. There's a lot of colors that you can choose, but monkey milk is a great color. And a lot of times, when you're pairing these, you're going to pair it with some contrasting jig head. This is a 1/16 ounce jig head with a sickle hook on it. Gives you great contrast. But the Bobby Garland baby shad 2-inch, this is a monkey milk, is a great all-around bait for crappie fishing. You also have the popular electric chicken color. This is super popular. Catch fish on this thing all the time. I like using the when you need something a little bit more natural color, when you're in clearer water, the water's not quite as stained. This is a Blue Thunder Bobby Garland baby shad 2-inch. So the baby shad, so that's what these are. These are baby shad. You've got some variation from different manufacturers. This right here is a Strike King smoky shad, similar type bait. That's also good all around, year-round crappie fishing. And these things are great for jigging. Just dropping your jig down, vertical jigging, casting, and slowly retrieving your lure. You catch these in, use these things in deeper water when you're fishing, 15, 20 feet of water. You can use these things in shallow water when you're fishing 3 to 10 or 12 or 15 feet. They're great all around crappie bait. You use those all year round. They're great. They catch fish. They're awesome. It's a great place to start is using something very similar to your bobby garland, baby shad for catching crappie. All year round, doesn't matter. Summer, fall, winter, spring, they're great for catching crappie. You know, during the summertime where we're at right now, and y'all see me talk about this, is, you know, a lot of times you want to downsize your bait. And this right here is a Charlie Brewer slider grub. That's 1.5 inches. It's a black with a chartreuse paddle tail. It's Charlie Brewer 1.5 inch grub, black and chartreuse. And you've also seen me talk about and use the same thing, Charlie Brewer slider, 1.5 inch grub with, it's a baby bass color. It's got that chartreuse paddle tail on it. It's a baby bass color right here. Great baits for summertime when you're when downsizing your bait is important. So, you know, downsizing your bait during the summertime can really help you catch fish. So a lot of times during the summertime, late summer, you know, when you're downsizing your bait, you want to use something a little bit smaller. These are a little smaller than your Bobby Garland 2-inch baby shads. So downsizing your bait and using these, you know, 1.5 inch grubs from Charlie Brewer or any other type of manufacturer. Some of these baits that you buy, you can downsize them. You don't have to go buy a new bait. You can just downsize them by cutting or trimming part of the head off of those baits to make them a smaller bait. So, you know, you use what you have, and you can just trim the head down to make it a little bit smaller bait. But the 1.5 inch grubs are great vertical jigging bait to use for crappie all year round. You can use it all year round, but a lot of times I'm using those during, you know, the summertime, late summertime, when you're downsizing to something a little bit smaller. So another popular bait to use, you know, regardless of what time of year it is, you know, hair jigs. And this right here is simply a 1/16 ounce hair jig that's a chartreuse body with a white tail, and it's just it's wet right now, but normally it's just, this is just very, it's just strands is all it is. It's, you know, strands of string fiber, and these are outstanding baits to use year round. Lots of variations for, you know, your types of hair jigs. You've got this right here, which is a shad dart, which is the same thing as a hair type jig, is a 1/16 ounce shad dart. As and this what the, you know, looks like when it's not wet. It's just, you know, kind of looks like hair. That's why they call it a hair jig. So, you know, this is a shad dart right here. Great bait using year round. And there's variations to that as well. You know, you've got some hair jigs that are from, you know, made from crappie magnet, and this right here is a 1/16 ounce. And I don't know if you can see it, but the fibers in this hair jig kind of have a reflective nature to it. And this one actually kind of has this little spinner on it that spins as you're pulling it through the water. It's a great bait to use during the spring and fall, or this type of hair jig right here, especially with the spinner on it. Hair jigs you can use year round, but this hair jig right here with this spinner on it is a great bait to use during the springtime, during the spawn, and during the fall, when fish are more aggressive and more actively feeding and defending nest. These right here, and you're doing more of a casting and a slow retrieve type of presentation. These are outstanding. These baits are really good for spring and fall, these hair jigs, especially with the spinner on them. And, you know, they're just great. Great baits. Those hair jigs are outstanding during that time of the year. You also have, for those times of the year when the fish are more aggressive, you've got these inline spinners, you know, rooster tails, super popular. And you see it also has a spinner on it. This is probably one of the bigger ones that you can use when those fish are, you know, more aggressive. This is a cast and reel type bait. This is not like a jigging bait. You're going to cast this out and slowly reel it back to where you're at. And there's different sizes of these. It's, like I said, this is probably one of the bigger size. You use this during the fall, during the spring. But you've got those inline spinners, and this is what that is right here. It's, except for that one was a little bit bigger. This one right here is a 1/16 ounce here. I think that one was probably a 1/8 ounce, maybe a little bit bigger. But this is a rooster tail bait. It's just got a spinner. It's just a little spinner bait, inline spinner, a rooster tail. It's 1/16 ounce. Some of these have a treble hook like this one does. I don't know if you can see that treble hook in there. The one I just showed you just has this single hook, which, you know, I kind of prefer having the single hook rather than the treble hook. But those are great baits. And this is the same thing, except for instead of having the treble hook, this one has the single hook on it. And this is a 1/6 ounce rooster tail. That's a great bait to use during the spring, during the fall, when fish are a little bit more aggressive, more active. And just cast this out and slowly reel it. And you don't want to cast it out and just, you know, reel it back really quick. I'm not saying you can't catch a fish like that, but, you know, those type of baits like that, you know, cast that bait out and then just, you know, slowly reel that thing back. And by slowly reeling that thing back, you're giving that spinner some action to it when it's coming back to you. So, you know, just a slow retrieve. You know, similar bait to use, it's real popular for a lot of people, are these beetle spins. That's what this is right here, except for I've got a different type of plastic on it, a different type of jig on it than what comes with it. This is a beetle spin. This has a spinner on it as well that spins through the water as you're reeling it back. Your line gets tied right here. And as you're retrieving it, it's meant to be a cast and retrieve type bait. It's not a jigging bait. It's a cast and retrieve bait. So you're going to cast this out and you're going to slowly retrieve that thing back. Great during the spring, great during the fall. It's an outstanding bait. And you know, this is what that is. This is just a beetle spin. And you see the little beetle grub that's on there that I changed out to a different type of bait that has a little bit of a better action on the tail as it's coming back to you, as you're reeling it back to you. But that's what this is. This is a beetle spin. You can get some of the smaller size. This one is a 1/32 ounce, which is what I like to use. It's a 1/32 ounce, and I just kind of changed the bait, the grub out on it. And you can put anything on there. You can put a Bobby Garland baby shad on there. You could put that grub on there. What comes with it, well, great. You can catch crappie and panfish on these beetle spins. They're great baits to use during the spring, during the fall. There are people that use those things all year round when they're fishing in, you know, shallow, when a lot of their water is shallow water, you know, where you're not fishing deep water or anything like that. They're fishing, you know, shallow water, you know, less than 10 feet, and just casting that thing and slowly reeling and retrieving. Other baits to use during the spring, during the fall, when fish are aggressive, are using some micro crankbaits. This right here is a Strike King chartreuse with a black back. It's a what is this? An 1/8 ounce. It's a small. It's just, you know, just like a crankbait that bass fishermen use to catch bass. This is a micro crankbait for panfish and for crappie. and you're gonna, this thing right here actually dives as you're retrieving it. So as you're retrieving, it dives. And you know, I guess quicker that you retrieve it, the further it will dive. This particular micro crankbait will dive up to 5 feet, which is great for using it during the spawn spring season. And you know, there's other variations to that. This is the same thing. It's an 1/8 ounce micro crankbait that dives up to 5 feet. And this right here is the Fire Tiger pattern that's on there. And it's just a smaller micro crankbait. Great bait to use during the spring, during the spawn. Great bait to use when you're fishing shallow water. It's a diving crankbait. It's an outstanding crankbait to use. You know, other baits to use a lot of times during the fall, during the spring is, you know, sometimes I'll upsize my bait. This is a crappie magnet, black and chartreuse, swirl tail. This thing's much bigger than a 2-inch Bobby Garland or that. Much bigger than that 1/2 inch, 1.5 inch Charlie Brewer that a lot of times I'm using during the spring, during the summer and the late summer. Those are much bigger baits. This is also a bigger crappie magnet bait that I'll use during the fall a lot of times. It's a red chartreuse tail. There's, you know, multiple variations to these types of baits. It's purple with a chartreuse swirl tail. It's just a bigger bait that I will use. Those are some of the most popular and common, certainly not everything, baits that are used. And then of course one that I left out that's super common is live bait, whether you're fishing with minnows or people catch crappie on red worms or catch them on crickets, but minnows will probably be one of the most popular live baits to use for crappie fishing. And it's great, it's effective all year round. A lot of times, when you're fishing a minnow, you're using like a #2 Aberdeen hook. This is a thin wire Aberdeen #2 hook that you'll use with like a bobber or a slip bobber situation. And basically you just want to take this hook and you're going to thread it through. I wish I had some live minnows I could actually show you this. You thread it through the mouth of the minnow and out of the gill without puncturing the gill. You're going to thread the hook through the mouth and out of the gill without puncturing the gill or puncturing anything. And once you get that thing through the gill, you're going to puncture and thread that through the upper mid back of that minnow, away from the spine, so it doesn't kill that minnow. And that minnow will still be alive, and threading it that way is a great way to rig that thing where it's still alive, has action, and very attractive for crappie year round. A lot of times, a lot of crappie fishermen will take a jig, a Bobby Garland or Charlie Brewer or whatever, and they'll tip it with a live minnow to catch fish, for those finicky fish that seem to be more finicky and less just very stubborn fish that just don't want to bite. So live bait like minnows are super popular for catching crappie. So like I said, these are some of the most popular baits that are used. They're great. Color combinations can be very important sometimes. Colors are important. If what you're throwing isn't working, can you just change colors? Colors that you want to use for clearer water are those lighter colored type jigs like this Bobby Garland Monkey Milk. You know, the same thing with like the Charlie Brewer baby bass. It's a lighter color jig for clearer water. If you're fishing stained water or muddy water, a lot of times it's best to use a darker color bait. You know, like black and chartreuse, man, so popular. So many crappie being caught on a black and chartreuse bait. But if you're fishing muddy water, stained water, a darker bait, you know, black and chartreuse is a great color for fishing stained and muddy water. All right, I hope that helps you out a whole lot concerning baits, what types of baits there are, you know, what they're used for, best way to use them, time of year. Hope that helps you out. We're gonna see if maybe we can dip a line, see if we can catch a few crappie today. There we go. There's a nice one. There's a good crappie. Oh, he's in there. Look at that. Nice crappie. And kind of pulled that off of my rig, but that black and chartreuse smaller bait, 1.5" grub, Charlie Brewer. There we go. We got here we go. We're sitting in 10 feet of water. Here we go. Oh, there he is. Oh, there he is. There we go. Come here. There we are. Swallowed that thing. That's going to take some getting out. Dang it. He's down in there. Dang it. There we go. There he is. All right, that's going to do it for today. I didn't really do a whole lot of fishing. I just want to make this video about explaining crappie baits today. It's probably one of the longer videos that I had. Probably going to have, hope you learned something. Get out there. Try some of these baits, some of these lures. Go grab you some minnows. Go grab you some Bobby Garlands, some Charlie Brewers, some hair jigs, crankbaits. Those things are great, especially for those guys that like to troll. Those diving crankbaits, those are great. Those of you that are in shallower water or shallower rivers or ponds or things of that nature, putting on that beetle spin and slowly retrieving that, or inline spinner, those are great. Try some of these different baits. Let me know in the comments below what's your favorite, what you like, what's your favorite ones. If you've seen me, I probably are using the soft plastics the most because I'm mostly doing some vertical jigging, especially during this time of the year. If you haven't done so, hit that subscribe button for me. Smash that like button if you enjoyed the video. Leave me a comment. Leave me a comment, really helps the channel out. We're gonna get out of here. We'll keep them coming. We'll see y'all next time.